Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go.
Fact or Freestyle, the Bob Haro signature grip.
So for me, one was when I first met Bob Haro, and he like shook my hand and he just like crushed it. He had like the strongest grip, and I just got through riding. My arms, my hands were totally sore, and from that day, he basically said to me, "I might be looking for a rider for doing some Flatland shows or doing some shows," and
was happy with what I was doing, and you know, the story goes on.
So I want to get back to the handshake with Bob Haro, because he did the same shit to me when he shook my hand, and he caught me off guard, and he fucking crushed my hand, and I'm like, that motherfucker. And so the next time I was waiting to see this guy again. So the next time I saw him, I just reached out my hand to give him a handshake, and I fucking squeezed as hard as I could, like, yeah, motherfucker, I can squeeze your fucking hand. So I remember that handshake, that Bob's got this crazy handshake. And so now, still to this day, every time I see that guy, my grips are a lot better now. And I make sure I give it to him, man, because I never forget that handshake, man. This fucking guy, like, crushed my hand, and I was like pissed about it, because, like I said, he caught me off guard. I kind of slithered in it like a slinky handshake, you know, like a wet rag deal. And then this fucking guy fucking crushed my hand. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Fucking crushed my hand like this, man. Bob. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the handshake, I totally understand that, Dave. I get that.
I'm so glad I shared that, because I had no idea that he had a running track record.
It did, man, and it really upset me, man. It kept me awake. Fucking weeks.
still keeping him awake. Look at him.
This fucking guy. So I make it a point every time I see him, I stick my hand right out there. Come on, let's fucking go, motherfucker.
Oh, that's good.
It's like a jiu-jitsu match now. Let's go. I'll choke you out, fucker.
You want to go left?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I'll go left hand because this is my dominant hand. So yeah.
So yeah, that's the handshake. That was awesome, dude. Oh God.
Fact or Freestyle, Bob Haro is an over-gripper.
Bob Haro is an over-gripper.
Over-gripper.
When Bob Haro first shakes your hand, he over-grips. An excessively firm handshake.
I don't know
catches
what.
you off guard.
I didn't notice that, but that may be me flexing.
I think that one's a fact. I firsthand felt Bob's grip. Yeah, he's a, what'd you call it?
He's an over-gripper.
Over-gripper. Yeah.
Power move, solid.
I got one. Okay, you guys all know the new Haro logo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what his logo looks like, right? Right, it's a silhouette, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Does
that look anything like him?
It looks like you, Eddie.
Yeah, that's me. It doesn't look anything like Bob, but I got a letter from Bob.
Oh, wait, you're killing me.
I got a letter from Bob. He literally says he owns the rights of a guy on a bike in a silhouette. That's where his strong grip is trying to take a hold of.
Dave, do you think that we could get Bob Haro to send us a letter? We still have the opportunity to make a logo for the show, right?
Yeah, we have to just pick a rider and a silhouette.
You know how guys have Guinness Book of World Records like framed in the background? I think I want to get a Bob Haro cease and desist that I can frame and put in my background.
That'd be...
Hey everybody, so here's the time. This is when we're going to come in and do the Flatland Fuel $20 gift certificate giveaway. There's going to be a code that flashes on the screen. Go, write this down and go immediately to Flatland Fuel. Buy something, enter this code. It will be a total pain in the ass. It's like 20 characters long. Go ahead and get your money and buy some bike parts from Flatland Fuel because they're sponsoring the show now.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
The next one, Matt. Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper. The first time you shook hands with Bob Haro, what was that like?
Oh, you mean someone that can bring you to your knees when you shake hands with him? It possibly could, but maybe is that? I remember. I think maybe he is. I forget exactly, but I remember. I mean, I was injured half my life anyway. Well, I was actually thinking about how much I was injured because I was thinking I've had let's see here, 20 something, like 20, almost 30 surgeries and so many broken bones, but then you add 4 months onto all that, and that turns into like 4 times what is that, like 80 months, and so that's like, I mean, like what, 6-7 years of being off, so I don't know, where did I go with that one, but yeah, I think I remember, I think you're right, because I think I remember kind of dropping to my knees and being like, damn, he like put me in my place. I thought I was somewhat tough, and that dude took me out in one handshake.
So that's three now, Joe, just if we're keeping tabs. So
Dave mentioned this offhanded, and then he said it in front of Pete Augustin, and Pete Augustin got totally triggered and was like, that motherfucker caught me off guard. And every time he sees him now, he lays into him.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. The first time I met him, that's what happened. I just finished the contest that I was doing down the lakeside, and he just crushed my hand. I mean, to the point where I couldn't have ridden. If I hadn't competed, I would have been so bummed. And I was just here. I don't know how it came up. It just came up in the conversation. And Pete's like, he's like, really? That mother, he did the same thing to me. And the next time I saw him, I'll tell you what, I was ready for him. Pete got like really, really aggro about it. So
what's the psychology behind that? That's like one of my things I'm not into, man.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm definitely not into the clam, this thing. But come on, what is the deal with that? What is the deal?
Well, Joe and I were trying to figure it out, and we're realizing, why didn't Haro ever make a grip? Think about it. All the Haros, they had either Oakleys or mushrooms. Why didn't Haro ever make a grip? GT always made the grip, Amy grips, but Haro never made a grip.
Probably because he was trying to make the deal with the company that would have made the grips, and then he gripped their hand and like hurt the guy, and the guy's like, screw that guy. I don't want to even talk to him anymore. I don't know.
That's a good analogy, Vic. I like it.
The guy with the best grip never made a grip.
Never made a grip, right?
I don't even want to deal with that guy.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
What's an over gripper mean?
So apparently, the first time you shake hands with Bob Haro, he grips.
Oh yeah, man. He's got a tight squeeze. It's one of those shake your hand and bring you inside. Like maybe not in the COVID universe, but prior to COVID, Bob was like when you got that handshake, his other hand went on your shoulder and he pulled you in a little bit. So I'd say fact.
The first time I met Bob Haro, he greeted me with a kiss on the mouth. So I have no say in this one. He liked me, I liked him. Right, what the hell?
Not to be discussed.
No, I know. I thought we were telling the truth on this thing. I mean, if you want to lie, I'll lie. He's an over gripper, dude. Broke my thumb.
We're trying to determine if it was just like a West Coast thing, because we definitely, Pete Augustin mentioned it. I just happened to share a story. First time I met him, and then Pete's like, "Oh my gosh, he did the same thing to me." And so now we're like, "Okay, we better talk to the East Coast, then Midwest, then down South, just to see how diverse he is with his gripper."
But he is also a full eye contact while shaking hands guy too. That is huge. A lot of people don't get that. That's why Bob. That's why he's been so successful.
Good
You just
point.
gotta stare at somebody to be successful?
When you shake their hand, you
You
look
should have
them
fucking
in
told
the
me
eye.
that when I was 19, dude.
What?
You should have told me that when I was 19. I wouldn't be driving a copy van all fucking for my entire life. Just shake someone's hand and say, "Hey, man, what's up, dude?"
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm learning a lot here today. This is awesome.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
Bob Haro is an over gripper.
What kind of? I've never heard that term, over gripping.
When Bob Haro first meets you, he gives you an excessively strong handshake. Have you experienced
wow.
this?
Honestly, I've seen Bob Haro before, but I never shook hands with the dude. Yeah, that's interesting, dude. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind when he shakes my hand. I'm gonna mess with him. Have to keep that in mind when he shakes my hand. I'm gonna mess with him. Have to keep that in mind when he shakes my hand. I'm gonna mess with him. And I'm gonna mess with him. Have to keep that in mind when he shakes my hand. I'm gonna mess with him.
I don't remember him being too aggressive squeezing my hand.
It's because you got that grip. You got the equal grip, probably, dude.
Yeah, that might have been. I'll have to pay attention to that if I see him. I'll have to pay attention to that if I see him. I'll have to pay attention to that if I see him. I'll have to pay attention to that if I see him.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
The first one we have up here, RL, is Bob Haro is an over gripper.
An over gripper.
When
What does
Bob
that mean?
Haro first meets you, he shakes your hand way too hard, excessively firm handshake, way over the top. Is this true?
I don't remember ever shaking Bob's hand. I mean, not that I didn't like him. I mean, we definitely had our issues, you know, because we lived together. But I don't ever remember shaking his hand.
So here's why we ask. Pete Augustine, he met Bob Haro. Bob laid into him, caught him off guard, and to this day, Pete is pissed and he flexes every time because he's ready to go again. And it happened to Dave too. Bob Haro crushed Dave's hand after a show, and go on, Dave.
It was actually after the contest. So I was telling this story on the first show that we did. And I was like, yeah, when I first met Bob, I just finished my contest run. He came out to Lakeside, California to meet me because Ron Wilton was going to do shows with you. That's how I got on Haro. Do you know that? Do you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So check this out. I went to Huntington Beach and I entered novice class. I knew Ron Wilton from San Diego. I used to ride with him a little bit at Mission Beach. And he told me, look, I can't really say much, but there might be an opportunity for you at Haro. So he didn't like show his hand, but he knew that he was on his way out to join you with BMX Action Trick Team and that there would be an opening in Haro. So he put in a good word. Bob comes to this contest in Lakeside and I just finished my run, and thank goodness, because he said, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Bob Haro. And of course, like I know it's Bob Haro, shook his hand and he just like crushed it, like grinded my knuckles to the point where I could not. And I was describing this and Pete's like, you know what? That mother did the same thing to me. And ever since then, I never let my guard down. So we've just been asking people as we go along, and there's been a couple other confirmations that they have experienced this, and we just kind of, you know, we kind of curious, and then we start to think about, well, is there some connection? Why didn't Bob Haro ever do a grip? He did everything else.
Right.
Is there some metaphor behind that?
We're getting deep now, huh?
Exactly.
Oh, it gets deep. That's why we put the show together.
And that's
we think the roots go very deep.
I love deep, man. I'm all about deep. So.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
Bob Haro is an over gripper.
An over gripper.
When he first shakes your hand, excessively strong handshake. And he catches you off guard. Is this true? Do you remember the first time that you shook hands with Bob Haro? And if so, did he flex on you?
I vaguely remember it, but during those times I was young, and so you take that shit real serious anyways. So I probably just matched his grip naturally.
You tensed up.
No, just because when you're young, like you're shaking the hand of someone famous like that, then you're like, whoa, I better shake his hand good. And then you like shake it. But I vaguely remember such a thing, yeah. But I don't know how he is nowadays.
Well, we asked Vic Murphy about it, and Vic's a little concerned about, because now everything's like all about fist bump. You know, we're thinking, man, if he's an overgripper, if he's a fist bumper now, he's just gonna like knock you out. I mean,
The Ovid COVID bumper.
Oh, even before that, come on.
He's a COVID over bumper.
He's a COVID over bumper.
Or COVID bumper.
So actually, Ron, you said something interesting. You said that you probably overgripped because you were excited to meet Bob Haro. So if Bob Haro, okay, so if Bob Haro overgripped Pete Augustine, you know what that means, right?
They fought.
He was excited about meeting Pete Augustine, and he tensed up.
Oh, they didn't fight? Did he punch him?
Well,
No.
Pete, at least not yet. Pete still warms up when he knows he's going to meet Bob Haro.
Oh, well, Pete's different now.
What's that? Say it again, Ron?
Pete's different now than he was back then.
Yeah.
Now he'll like look in your eyes and say hi. And
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an overgripper.
So is Bob Haro an overgripper?
That's a good question.
An overgripper.
Yeah. Define overgripper.
Well, what comes to mind when you think of an overgripper?
They hold their grip too hard and they're obsessed by it.
I would not say there's any evidence of Bob being an overgripper. In my opinion, that is. Ronaldo.
Hey, Dom.com.
Oh yes.
There's Dom right there.
Fucking hell, man. Nice one.
Yo, Knickers.
How you doing, mate? Man,
Good man, how you doing?
It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, see him right there.
Where you boys at?
I got text Sanders' friend. Hold on. 1 second.
Man,
Caleb.
this is really
Oh
going
yeah,
on,
I already
man.
got it.
This is the old
I didn't even notice. I was like,
synchronicity
who the heck
accelerometer.
is that? I know
being
everybody
powered
else,
by
but
oil today.
I knew everybody else, but I was like,
Okay, there.
who's that?
Okay, there. Oh, there's Dom.com. So you don't know if Bob's an overgripper?
I'd be I don't know what an overgripper is, so it's quite hard to hard to give Bob that label.
Let me tell you the story, and don't worry, you can edit any of this out, Dom. So it's being recorded. Promise. It's this Joe Sickman. Some people say Sisman, but you have to properly pronounce it. It's Sickman, and he's a Flatlander that I've been hanging out with over the last few years, and he's the one that kind of helped start this show. So when I first met Bob, it was at the small San Diego contest in it's actually Lakeside, California. I just finished my run, and Bob came out because Ron Wilton had left Haro to go ride with RL at BMX Action. And Ron put in a good word to Bob and said, hey, you should go meet this guy, Dave. He's got some good ground tricks. So I met Bob, and he literally took my hand and just like crushed it. And I had just ridden, so my hands are sore already. And I'm glad that it happened afterwards, because if it would have happened before my run, I would have been toast. So I was sharing this story on our first show, actually, that we had with Pete Augustine, or not our first show, but a show that Pete Augustine was on. And Pete's like, I remember that guy. He did the same thing to me. And he basically said, yeah, he was an overgripper. So we've had a few other people that had said that. And Dom, here, you can relate to this. We started to make the connection, and we want to know why Bob Haro never made a grip.
Well, he was with Oakley for many years, wasn't he? But just to go back to the overgripper thing very quickly.
Okay.
Bob is more of a fist bump guy these days. So no, I've only known him in the last 10 years. He's more of a kind of boom guy than a traditional handshake guy.
Well, is he an overfister?
He's a hard, yeah, he's got a big bump on him. He bumps hard. But
You got to prove the manliness.
yeah.
Yeah, is it like a dominance Trumpian kind of thing?
But why he never made a grip? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah,
Because it was Oakley, and then it was ODI mushrooms. Like that's what he had on his bikes.
And he was Amy as well for a little while. I think.
Oh, and
We went
really?
to Amy in the middle. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Because I thought Amy was always GT. But
I think I want to say there's a jersey he wore with an Amy badge. on it, I think.
You're right. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
no, I
Joe.
don't know.
What do you got for Mr. Dom?
Oh, he loves me.
All right, so this is a little piece of trivia, but apparently, so this
Relay that if he'll answer.
Rich Hansen, who worked for Haro, says that he doesn't remember Bob being an overgripper.
Oh, Rich Hansen. Okay.
Yes, Rich. I'm just on Signal with him right now, and he says he doesn't remember that.
Okay,
but
so
said that Bob did gently rub his wrist and wink at him.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an overgripper.
I mentioned this in a message to you, Craig. Is Bob Haro an overgripper? So you met him in 1983, right? At the Haro skate park.
Yeah. Bob Haro at Harrow.
Haro at Haro.
Yeah, which Harrow Skate Park was just west of London. And it was built by the same people that built Romford Skate Park, which was just east of London, which is where I learned how to ride. So they're very similar skate parks. But I went, when Bob Haro was at Harrow Skate Park, that was the first time I'd been to Harrow Skate Park.
Okay.
And they had a little competition there, and I think I got second. And then not so long after that, I ended up getting sponsored. Bob decided to sponsor me.
And how was he an overgripper?
An overgripper?
Yeah.
What?
When he first shook your hand, did he just take your hand and just like crush it to the point where you're just like?
I was thinking overgripper. What's that? Is that some sort of freestyle move? I can't remember how he shook my hand first time. I really can't.
So Joe, he shook his hand so bad he lost his memory. Joe, that's how bad he shook Campbell.
That's pretty extreme overgripping to flash your memory out like that.
Okay, Eric, had you ever met Bob Haro?
Yeah, Milton Keynes a couple of years ago.
Just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. First time I met him then.
Was he an overgripper with you?
Can't remember.
I'm wondering if he's got something with these UK riders. There's definitely been some confirmations that he excessively squeezes your hand when he shakes it. So we're just trying to get the facts, fellas. We're just trying to get the facts.
Right, okay. I can't say for sure. I can't really remember.
Okay, we'll put you down for a maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Right.
So put us down for a maybe, then I can't remember.
All right, Joe, what's some other ones that we have for these guys?
Okay, this one is a little bit involved.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an overgripper.
I think we'll start with fact or freestyle. Bob Haro was an overgripper.
Is a what?
An overgripper.
An overgripper. What does that mean?
When Bob Haro first shakes your hand when he first meets you, he gives an excessively strong handshake and he catches you off guard.
He's stronger than he looks, right?
Do you have experience with this? Have you heard about this game that he plays?
I'm trying to remember the first time I shook Bob Haro's hand, but yeah, I guess you're right. He's an overgripper.
Boom. Okay, there's another one.
He does not lack confidence, that man.
You know, Kevin Martin had mentioned that he not only likes to really give a nice firm handshake. He looks you right in the eye.
He looks you right in the eye. He's
he kind of
definitely,
like
yeah,
pulls you in, right?
yeah, exactly.
When Large Ray heard about it, Large Ray was like, man, I wish I would have known that years ago. That's probably why he's so successful, because he's always about like making that connection, you know? So
yeah. I love Bob. I haven't seen him for a while actually, but I used to, when I did live in San Diego, I'd always bump into him here and there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's got the whole, you know, him and Dom are doing another issue of the Birth of Freestyle. He's got the shoe out now. He's doing some pretty cool stuff.
Fuck yeah. Right on, Bob.
So what else do we want to share and talk to you about? Oh,
fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an over gripper.
So we heard this. We don't know. We have heard mixed reviews or mixed responses about this one, and in fact, Bob Haro is an over gripper.
What does that mean?
That means when Bob Haro first shakes your hand, he gives you an excessively firm handshake and he catches you off guard.
Oh, okay.
Have you heard of this? Has this happened to you?
Or have you experienced it? Like, do you remember the first time you met Bob?
I do remember meeting Bob. Actually, a couple times. And one of the highlights of my life is when he recognized me. You know, he said my name. I was like, what the? Bob Haro knows who I am. But honestly, I don't remember him being an over gripper, like squeezing hard. But I meet a lot of people in show business, and maybe I guess I counter when that happens, you know.
Maybe Gary's an over gripper.
I could be.
And the over grippers just met. What happens when two over grippers? We haven't covered that, Joe. It just, yeah, it's like.
No, I don't remember being squeezed hard. And
I don't remember.
Maybe he was being nice to me. I don't know.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
sorry.
So that's okay. It's another uncertain. Because I experienced it, and then Pete talked about it when I told it on a show, and then Pete talked about it. And then there's been several people that have said, yes, they've experienced that. And then the question was that Joe and I were thinking about is, why did Bob Haro never do a grip? Like, was there some meaning behind that?
Oh, yeah. Well, he never did. He never made a grip. Right. That's something easy he could have done. I mean, God, he's done so much amazing stuff, and for him to not tackle grips, I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he's making shoes with Vans.
Yeah.
He's making all kind of stuff. He's making bikes. He's making all kind of stuff. But he wants to be known as the Bob Haro signature grip.
Right. He is
the over grip.
The over grip.
The Bob Haro signature over grip.
You could make a
It
grip.
wraps around your hand. You have to go into it like a glove.
Yeah, it's like you fit your whole hand in and you're just locked in, right?
Oh God.
So you have clip-on pedals. Hey, do you have the clip-on? You have the clip-on Haro grip?
Yeah,
Maybe
so it's like a glove and grip in one. That's
yeah,
genius.
And Bob would do that. Bob would do that because he's done the gloves, so maybe he combine the two. He's always innovating. He's always way ahead of
fine. No, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that. I'm going to say that's probably true. If others have talked about it, I don't remember experiencing it. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we have a kind of a fact on that one, but
I would imagine it'd be fact. Just guessing, but personally speaking, after meeting him a couple times I don't remember being squeezed to death. No.
Where did you meet? Let's hear that story. So where did you first meet Bob?
I was 14 years old. At my local track, they had a triple point race, and the track hired the Mountain Dew freestyle team.
Where did you meet? Let's hear that story. So where did you first meet Bob?
I was 14 years old. at my local track, they had a triple point race, and the track hired the Mountain Dew Freestyle team.
factOrFreestyle. Gary Laurent met a bootleg Bob Haro.
Okay. And of course, you've seen on commercials, the Mountain Dew commercials, they had some freestyle on it and stuff like that. So, and I've seen in the magazines, the Mountain Dew Freestyle team, they, had a quarter pipe and uniforms and all this amazing stuff. I was like, wow, I can't wait to see this show. So they show up in a white van, just no logo, no nothing. And it's Bob Haro and Fred Blood, just those two. And they pulled out a wedge ramp, just a wedge ramp, no logos on it, no nothing, just a plywood wedge ramp, about as bare bones as it gets. And of course, at first I'm like, this is the Mountain Dew Freestyle team? What the hell? And then, they go out there and start doing tricks, and, there's no PA, there's no nothing. They're just riding, and we started kind of riding with them. And I was, an eager 14-year-old kid. So I'm blasting jumps off the edge of this thing onto the grass. I had like a downhill at the other side of the ramp. So I had something to land on. So I was just blasting off of that and jumping down the hill. And I was doing like foot plants, like crap like that. And he kind of came up to me, and he came up to me and said, "Hey man, pretty good for a racer." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And I was, super stoked, and I shook his hand and met him, but I don't remember being squeezed, but that was back in 70, or maybe 1980. So maybe Bob wasn't destroying people yet by then. And plus I was a 14-year-old kid, so he probably went easy on me.
I never knew that Bob and Fred did shows together.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't know they were a thing for Mountain Dew. I mean, I had no idea. But
let me make sure I got this right. Two guys. So you go to the Mountain Dew show.
Yes.
Right. It's promoted as a Mountain Dew show. Two guys in an unmarked white van pull out an unmarked wedge ramp, and one of them introduces himself as Bob Haro and doesn't overgrip you.
He did not over. I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't remember. I was 14 years old.
Was it really
Bob
Haro?
Being squeezed. Huh?
Was it really Bob Haro?
It was actually Bob Haro and Fred Blood.
Are you? Are you sure it wasn't
100%? 100% positive.
Not a bootleg Bob Haro?
No, it was not a bootleg Bob Haro. He was on his bike with a coaster brake, the tough wheel, doing all those wedge tricks, the kick turn tricks. Fred Blood mostly did flatland stuff. Like he was trying to do like bar rides and surfers and things like that. I mean, wow. Fred Blood wasn't quite the freestyler that he ended up. He was kind of, I guess he was on the climb at that point, because I only knew Fred Blood as a roller skater, and he shows up to a Mountain Dew freestyle show on a bike. And I was, okay, so they bring in a half pipe later? What's going on? Fred Blood's here. Because I seen that guy on the Vans half pipe at other, nationals.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an overgripper.
So Dave was sponsored by the guy who invented freestyle, and his name's Bob Haro. And Dave did his run at this first contest. And then Dave, why don't you take us back to what happened when you met who was the greatest rider in history at that time?
Yeah, so at the time I was riding, but I didn't really have a whole lot of a scene. I just would go hang out at the beach with some friends. I'd ride a lot by myself. I'd ride to and from school. And I ended up going to this contest. And this was actually the second contest that I entered. And Bob Haro came to meet me because he heard about me, and there might have been an opportunity for me to do shows with him. So I was super excited, and I had just finished my contest run, and Bob came over to me and he said, "Hello, I'm Bob Haro," and he took my hand and just like totally, crushed it to the point where I was so happy that it happened after my routine instead of before my run. So what was kind of funny about this story is I was telling this story on one of our shows, and another rider, Joellen, who Pete Augustin, heard this and said, "Oh my gosh, he did the same thing to me when I met Bob. He totally just came in, he looks you right in the eye. It's a very firm handshake, and he just crushed it, which we call an overgripper. So the factOrFreestyle is Bob Haro an overgripper?
So what we wanted to run by both of you was, we know that you guys you are particularly outgoing people and you meet a lot of folks, and we're wondering, we're trying to understand the psychology of an overgripper. Elena, do you know overgrippers, and what can you tell us about this situation? I mean, you studied psychology, so what do you think is going on here?
Well, it sounds like a bad episode of Seinfeld, actually. There's no overgrippers. But I think we all know overgrippers in our life. Pre-COVID, we did a lot of handshaking and hugging and gripping. And it's interesting that it's very interesting because I just now, before I came on with you, was watching Downton Abbey, okay? As I was reloading and going back from episode 1, and I noticed that when they shake hands, it's this sort of thing here, okay? And I must have been an overgripper myself, because in years of working in sales, I just got in there with my little mitts and just grabbed hands. And so yes, overgrippers do walk among us.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an overgripper.
And Pete Augustine was on the call. And I was saying the first time I ever met Bob Haro, I was so excited, and he totally overgripped me. And I'm wondering, has either of you met Bob Haro before? And do you think he's an overgripper?
I've never met him. I've seen him before at Interbike, but you get to see everybody at Interbike back in the day.
Yeah, so what came out of this, and now we've been asking everybody, because he literally crushed my hand. It was right after a contest, and he just crushed my hand. And I was like, I mean, it was Bob Haro. I was so excited to meet him, obviously. But I was glad that it was after my run instead of before, because literally my hand was so sore. So I'm telling this story, and Pete Augustine was on the call, and he's like, dude, Bob did the same thing to me when I first met him. And from that day on, we've just been asking anybody. So just be warned, now that COVID, he might not be an overgripper. We're thinking he might be like an over bumper, he like might bump.
You're gonna get your knuckles smashed.
Yeah.
You know what? Seeing Adam, because I met Adam at an Interbike. I met Bob at an Interbike, and he did overgrip me. I'm remembering it now. I had forgotten about it until just now. It was the Interbike thing. And Matt, you just said Interbike, and it triggered.
You meet way too many people all at once.
Yes.
Well, and there's the question that has come up when we discovered that it's definitely a thing that Bob is an overgripper. Kevin Martin was like, he's not only an overgripper, he like looks you right in the eye and he like pulls in close. Like,
close talker?
Yeah, what's that?
He is a close talker.
Is he a close talker too?
Yeah, I think it's that, that bubble, that 3-foot bubble, he definitely breaks into that.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Haro is an overgripper.
Is Bob Haro an overgripper?
I don't know. I don't know.
How can you not know?
Well, I've met Bob at like 1 or 2 of the Interbikes, and I think I just maybe said hi or anything, but it wasn't like formally greeted, so I didn't don't remember shaking his hand. I don't know, Scott, have you met him?
I've not actually ever met him face to face. No.
Oh, yeah. I'm not. So there's 2 inconclusives, I guess.
Okay, inconclusive. Okay. We're trying.
So I have an idea. Just follow me here. James McGraw is going to have Battle with Alliteration in late October, right? Right? He's going to have his contest, Battle of the Rockies, end of October.
Yeah. Okay.
Bunch of people go there.
Yep.
James also has unnamed shadow sponsors that provide money. Is it probable that Bob Haro would accept an invitation to that contest to set the record straight? Do you think that Bob Haro would accept a flight out, accommodations, and he has nothing to do other than take in the wonderful contest and shake people's hands?
Now you're not going to tell him that it's not an experiment, but kind of like an experiment to find out if he's an overgripper, are you?
It would corrupt the experiment if he had foreknowledge that it was an experiment. So we should not. In fact, So James McGraw, under the guise of AFA, the first AFA post-pandemic, what do we think would get? How would you guys sell that idea to Bob?
I don't think he would go unless he was like paid somehow to be like, say, oh, we want to bring you out as one of the guys that started Flatland and just have you there as an icon to be at the contest as like, oh yeah, I'm one of the founders of Flatland where BMX riding, trick riding is at the contest. I don't know. Maybe he would, but he would probably definitely want like the whole trip paid for, even if he didn't get like paid on top of that.
Yep.
That's my guess.
Be an expensive experiment.
Hey, science isn't cheap.
It's science, right?
Science is not cheap, but it's deeply important. Oh, let me tee up this next segment. This is when we sent Sean White in to actually test Bob Haro's grip firsthand, and this is what he sent us.
Joe, Bob Haro. Oh, shit! God, this guy, my God. As for you, Joe.
Careful. I haven't even looked at. Oh my gosh, look at that mug.
Look at Ray.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Sideways, I gotta always do this move.
It's like jiggling the handle on a toilet.
Oh, stop it. There we go.
What's
Am
up?
I on?
Yes.
I can't believe I missed you guys last week. I'm so pissed. I would have had so much. I mean, I have fun every time I go to the York Jam, and you guys were there. Didn't tell anybody. I could have probably changed my plans, but because I'm a busy guy. The questions that you guys, like, you ask everybody, is Bob Haro over gripper? Like, I've watched probably all your episodes, and you ask that every time, and it's the kind of the same banter back and forth each time. Like, how many people have you asked, is Bob Haro over gripper?
Probably
everybody.
Did you see the actual over gripping?
So
he grabs your hand and shakes it too hard.
So the story is, Sean was at this event at Haro where Bob had a tent, and he walks up to Bob and he shakes his hand, and then Sean goes to his knees.
No.
Yeah. Did you put that in the episode?
I sent it to Joe directly.
It's so good. It's so good.
Recently, or was this like 30 years ago?
Last month.
Okay.
Maybe 3 weeks ago.
So you knew the over gripper story, right? And he knows the over gripper story.
We conspired.
I was part of it, and then I was gonna go up and buy something at his office because I'm like right down the street, and the guy, I guess, that was working there that you send the email to got fired. I don't know their special word they use for fired, but he got fired. So I saw Bob at the Haro show, and I said, hey man, I tried to come up and buy something off you, and there he was like, oh, that guy got shit canned. And so then I was just talking to him, and I said, hey, I gotta film this, dude. I gotta shake your hand. And he said, all right. And I said, this is for Joe. And he's like, go. And I just did it and dropped down to my knee, and it's funny.
So
And
will you add it?
I don't know
Will
if
you
I
add
am.
it to this show then, so we can see the clip? Because I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I'll pull it up. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Okay, so
It's
Ray,
so
going
funny.
back to your point. So your point is that you've listened to all the episodes, but some of the feedback that we got in Pennsylvania.
People are like, who first invented something, and they fight all about it. But who like, does it really matter who did it first? You know,
yeah,
it kind
exactly.
of
No
does,
one-
but it kind of doesn't.
Yeah,
Is that
no
you
one
with a
really
mustache?
cares.
You look like a pastry chef. What is going on? He falls down.
That's a.
Is that Big Island in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Let's get John.
This is Joe Cinnamon Spice right here. He is ready to find out if it is actually true. If, in fact, Bob Haro is an over-gripper.
Yeah, so what we're
say
gonna
about this?
Well, so we're going in hot. We're going in hot, high, down.
Who gave you the advice to go in high?
It was RL.
RL, you're good, buddy.
It was RL.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
inspired.
amazing.
Are they the king of the over-gripping? RL and Bob Haro?
It's just Bob. I mean, Bob's the one who's been over-gripping people for years. He's denied it, and he's been out here a lot. But I think he's holding back.
I gave him $20. It's to
Did you?
dominate. It's to dominate.
Hey, it's
his
completely to dominate.
thing, to let everyone know that he is authoritative.
He's authoritative. He is. All right. So, who's gonna? Are we gonna get John in for cover?
I think John needs to take a piss. All right, so
am I going over first though?
here we go. We have Team Haro representing. Are you scared? Are you scared?
No, I'm ready.
Does Bob intimidate you due to his excellence in BMX?
No, man.
All right. Well, here we are. Joe
we are.
Sisman
We're gonna do
is
it.
ready with the help of his good friend John.
With the help of Chad right here.
Chad, get it on this,
Right?
What
did I just agree to? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
You got it in slow-mo?
I've got
you or me? You want me to show you what?
You be the target.
Okay, yeah.
There it is. This
Yeah,
is
right
how
there,
you
right there,
properly
right there.
get an over grip.
And it's this.
You gotta lead with this. Straight down.
Yeah.
Oh, the finger is what does it.
Because you gotta lead in.
Where was your mind at? Get that away from there.
All right. He's got to be used to that, right?
He is. I'll be like, hey, I'll get the picture of you guys. You're gonna need to get in line, wait your turn. Just because you're with Eddie Field, it doesn't mean you're important. But Eddie Field gave you advice. Like, how does it feel to get advice? You have no idea. This is a defining moment in the history.
It's so much has been coming up.
This has been
So much.
a quest for knowledge. Is it true?
It's so true.
He's a shop teacher now. Yeah.
Eddie, I dropped off a stack for you.
I saw that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have you seen this one here? No. All right. Have you met Bob?
Oh, hey, Bob. How you doing? What's your name? I'm Joe. Yeah. How's your hand? You gonna remember this?
No. Are you over gripping Bob Haro?
I'm over gripping.
No,
I'm
go
over gripping Bob Haro. You got this, right? All right.
Is it true or is
Oh,
it
look at
not
that
true?
guy. Oh.
Is Bob Haro an over gripper? Now you know.
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him about me.
He said.
All right, there you have it. The whole Bob Haro over gripper saga, end to end, from the moment we discovered it to all of the research we did to unlock this epic power transfer. Oh my God. All right, stay tuned as we dig deeper into more of these great X-Files level mysteries of BMX. Tell us what you like.